Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely demystify the profound biology behind Dr. Joe Dispenza's 11th Blessing of the Energy Center's meditation. You know, the one specifically called Blessings of the Brain, Harmonizing. If you've ever sat down, closed your eyes, and wondered what is actually physically happening inside my head right now, well, you are in the exact right place. We're going to literally look under the hood of your own biology to see exactly how your thoughts transform into physical matter. It is so cool. So here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the power of intention. Second, the brain's chemical factory. Third, chemistry's building blocks. Fourth, hormones and energy centers. And finally, we'll land on the harmonizing meditation itself. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the power of intention, knowledge as the forebearer. See, understanding exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it actually switches on your prefrontal cortex. It's exactly like the quote says, knowledge is the forebearer to experience. When you truly possess the knowledge of how a meditation works, you assign a very real meaning to the task. You aren't just crossing your fingers and blindly hoping for a result, right? Your conscious understanding actually unlocks and directs your biology. And hey, to prove this isn't just some airy-fairy philosophy, let's look at the actual data. There's this incredibly compelling research out of the University of California, San Diego, and it reveals that conscious intention alone directs your autonomic nervous system to manufacture specific chemicals. I mean, just think about how wild that is. You don't need to memorize a chemical's molecular formula, its atomic weight, or, its structural classification. When you get into the right state of mind, your autonomic nervous system just receives your pure intention as information. It literally fulfills the order, translating your conscious intention into physical chemistry that changes your body. Which brings us right to Section 2, the brain's chemical factory, moving from mind to matter. So the crucial point here is this magnificent biological assembly line in your head. It all kicks off at step 1 with the hypothalamus. Sitting right there in the midbrain, the limbic brain, this is actually the most vascular part of your brain, and it acts as your central chemical factory. It literally builds chemical messengers. Then, in step 2, those messengers get moved over to the pituitary gland, which you might know as the famous master gland, sitting right behind your forehead. And finally, in step 3, the anterior, or the front part of that pituitary gland, releases these chemical signals out into your body to target very specific centers. Okay, moving right along to Section 3, chemistry's building blocks, the pearls on a string. We really have to remember that this incredible protein-producing machinery is operating inside of you right this very second. It's keeping you alive. And it all comes down to this one magic number, 22. As humans, we need 22 different amino acids to serve as the literal building blocks for the proteins that dictate the structure and expression of life. Basically, every single protein in your entire body is built from this fundamental set of 22 amino acids. But wait, if there are only 22 amino acids, how on earth do we get so many totally different physical structures? Well, it all comes down to sequence and length. I want you to picture 22 different colored pearls on a string. The sequence is the specific order you arrange those colored pearls in. The length is just the total number of pearls on that particular string. By simply changing the sequence and the length of those 22 amino acids, your body creates completely different proteins. That's literally what differentiates the collagen in your skin from an immunoglobulin fighting off a virus. It is the exact same 22 pearls, just strung together in a totally unique sequence and length. Now let's just clear up some of that scientific jargon really quick. When your hypothalamus factory builds these protein chains, and the string happens to be under 200 acids in length, we call them neuropeptides. They're also known as tropins. But basically, these short-chain chemical messengers are the exact signals being assembled in your brain right now to be shipped out to your body. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're looking at in Section 4, hormones and energy centers mapping the body. So let's bridge this hard biology directly over to your body's energy centers. When the pituitary gland releases luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone, it targets procreation and sex hormones, which correlates directly to your first energy center. When it releases ACTH, it signals your adrenal glands for energy mobilization. Boom, that's your third center. Look at the fourth center, the heart. The brain releases growth hormone for immune function and regeneration, alongside oxytocin from the posterior pituitary to just flood your body with elevated emotions. And thyroid-stimulating hormone, or TSH, that targets your thyroid function, which maps perfectly to your fifth center. Guys, this isn't just conceptual. This is a direct, physical, neurotrophic mapping of your body.
All right, let's just take a breath, slow it down a bit, and move into Section 5, the harmonizing meditation, putting it into practice.
As we transition here, I really want you to imagine slowing down. We're moving from learning about the body to actually signaling it. And remember, where you place your attention is exactly where you place your energy. So, in this meditation, your primary target is the 7th energy center, your pituitary gland. By putting your focused attention on this master gland, you are essentially commanding the chemical factory. You're placing your energy there with the clear, conscious intention to release those specific neuropeptides we just mapped out.
The meditation itself is just this beautiful, cascading flow. You'll intentionally signal molecules from the 7th center all the way down to the 1st center. You're going to harmonize centers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all directed right from that master gland of the 7th. Then you'll balance the 7th center itself. And finally, you will connect to the 8th center to pull in greater frequency, new energy, and totally new information from the field, just allowing that magnificent order to cascade all the way down through your physical body.
Because the ultimate goal of this entire biological and meditative cascade, it's homeostasis. The overarching intention here is to create profound balance, harmony, and systemic metabolic order throughout your entire body. It is all about bringing every single system back into its most perfect, natural state of being.
Which leaves us with this final, truly empowering thought. Unlike a lot of other practices, the 11th blessing meditation allows the music to simply fade out, letting you literally drift off to sleep without being brought back to conscious awareness. So with all of this incredible knowledge now acting as the forebearer to your experience, what biological changes are you ready to intentionally signal in your own body as you drift off? The factory is waiting for your orders. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you leave here feeling deeply empowered by the amazing machinery of your own mind and body.